Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Ofosu Jones-Corte.
And I'm Leah Santa Cruz.
We are the meditation coaches on the Balance app.
And this is our weekly show, Well Balanced, where we explore ways to live a healthier and happier life.
So, Leah, I am going to come in right now out of the blue with an exercise. And I'd like to start us off there, and then I'll explain what's going on after, okay?
Yeah, sure.
First, I want you to say one kind thing about me. And for you listening, please do this with us. Think of one kind thing about the last person you spoke with.
Well, this isn't too hard for me because you're awesome, but that's not the thing I was going to say. The thing I was going to say is I find you to be a very authentic person. Like, you have really strong values and you're true to them. I appreciate that about you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. You can't tell, but I'm blushing. So all right, now I want you to say one kind thing about yourself. And for you listening, I want y'all to try this too.
I would say that I have a lot of perseverance and dedication to pursuing a happier life for myself and for taking care of my family. I don't give up easily.
Yeah, I recognize that within you also, and that's super inspiring. Okay, all right. So before I start going, which of those things was easier for you? Was it easier to say something kind about me, or easier to say something kind about yourself, or were they equally easy?
No, it definitely was easier to say something kind about you. I wouldn't say it was hard to say something kind about myself. If you would have asked me that a few years ago, it would have been hard to say something kind about myself, but this is something I've been working on. Yeah. Because when I think about saying something kind about myself, there's always this little back voice that's like, oh, I don't know whose voice it is even, but it's like, don't be boastful, or like, don't get a big head or big ego, like be humble. But I actually don't even think that's what humility means anymore. But it was easy for me to appreciate you and not have all that background dialogue going on.
No, I totally get that. And it's funny because on the flip side, I feel a little bashful receiving compliments or kind words from others. It's like, oh gosh, I just have that tendency to like shrink a little bit when I'm getting the positive. But to hear you say something kind about yourself, like, makes me so happy.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, maybe it's related to self-esteem a little bit, That's been an area of my life that I've been in consistent work on, is to figure out how can I improve my self-esteem. And I think that contributed a lot to it being difficult for me to receive compliments, because deep down there was a part of me that was like, oh, I was just critical of myself so hard all the time that it was hard to believe that and to receive it. But I don't know if that's the case for everybody else in this difficulty.
In my travels and my conversations with people, I feel like it's somewhat universal, but just because something is universal doesn't mean that it's like innate, that it's something that we can't kind of confront and transform. So, I mean, I really wanted to talk about affirmations today because just the actual practice of self-kindness, self-compassion, etc., is something that's really shown up for me in my life and been very helpful for me. And
same.
Sometimes it can be difficult, to turn that into a practice. Just like you said, years ago, it would have been harder for you to say something kind about yourself. But I actually just came out with a book that guides kids through affirmations and self-kindness. It's called Love Your Amazing Self.
Such a beautiful book.
Thank you.
Well done.
And just a shout out to the illustrator, because I'm just in love with this cover. Shout out to Indubisi Okoye for all the wonderful illustrations in here. And so anyway, on the theme of this book, I wrote this because we all grow up hearing that it's important to be kind to others, that it's important to, if you don't have anything kind to say, don't say anything at all, practice generosity, share your toys, all that type of stuff. But I don't know that I did hear it, but not as often, that it's important to take care of your emotions. It's important to to be deliberately kind to yourself. It's important
Yeah.
to develop a bank of affirmations that can show up for you when you need them the most. And for whatever reason, today's been kind of a tough mental health day for me. But every time I feel myself kind of dropping down into that place, I've got this bank of inner kindness that keeps showing up for me. So it's been interesting watching how my inner dialogue has evolved, so that like when I feel myself kind of going down a path of negative self-talk, then all of a sudden there's a positive there that says, okay, we don't have to go down this road.
Yeah, I think there's so much power in affirmations and power in our human mind. Honestly, like so much is untapped. And I appreciate that you came up with a book that, especially for young people, to see the power in how the language that we use shapes our world and shapes how we see others, how we see ourselves. And then that shapes our behaviors and it shapes the actions we take and the life that we create for ourselves.
Yeah.
A belief is just a thought, but it's a thought that we think over and over and over again. And then it forms into a belief when we think it so many times. So it makes sense that using positive affirmations is like, okay, at first we're kind of faking it to make it, perhaps.
Yes.
But it's a thought that we are adding to the mix. And then we say it over and over and we think it over and over and over again. And eventually it becomes a belief.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I did some recording around my house today on this topic. And I did the same exercise that you just did with my 4 kids. So I just wanted to see what their relationship is to self-kindness. Now, these little ones and not so little ones span the ages of 6 to 20. So it was an interesting experiment.
Oh, man. Yeah. I love hearing from your kids. Let's do it.
First up, here is a conversation with my 6-year-old Sita. Okay, can you say something nice about your sister?
Oh, that she plays with me when she doesn't want to, and that she makes people laugh.
Okay.
And a tiny bit on me, and she makes people feel happy, and a little bit of me too.
Okay, great. Now, what's something kind you can say about yourself?
That I'm good at karate, and that even if I think I can't do it, I still try, and sometimes I can do it.
Okay. All right, awesome. High five. Bamba. All right, love you.
Love your turn!
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
So great.
All right. And here is my 9-year-old Sati. Sati,
Yes.
can you say something kind about your brother Sita?
That he is good at obbies and Roblox, and he's really fast at running and funny.
Okay. All right. And can you say something kind about yourself?
That I'm good at origami and dramatic and funny.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sweetie.
Dramatic. So cute.
Dramatic and funny. Okay. And here is my 17-year-old Samadhi. All right, here we go. So talking with my daughter, Samadhi, why don't we start with you saying something nice about your sister, Sati?
I love Sati so much. She's so cute and always brings a smile to my face with her silly jokes and her dramaticness.
And now say something kind about yourself.
I really admire my dedication to self-expression. I just really like knowing what I like and showing the world that I know what I like.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
It's the wisdom showing up there.
Uh-huh. And last but not least, my 20-year-old Sundara. Okay, Sundara, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay. All right. Can you say something kind about your sister, Samadhi?
I think she is super, super talented and very creative and very good at like everything she does, anything she picks up.
And now say something kind about yourself.
I think that I'm a pretty good big sister. And yeah, I think that I'm very intelligent and good at analyzing things.
I agree. All right. Well, thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Oh gosh, I'm really inspired to do this with my son when he gets older and starts speaking. It was great to hear the differences even as they get older, like the way that they responded, and you can just just hearing the difference in age.
I found it interesting that the older they got, I could see like just in playing this, you can look at the waveform when we talked to Samadhi, even when she was talking about herself, the waveform got a little bit quieter and she was just a little bit more reserved in talking about herself. And she's 17. And then when we got to Sundara, who's 20, it really was kind of like heavy lifting to get her to say something kind about herself. But the 6-year-old was like, I'm great at karate.
Yeah.
Just like with no hesitation.
No. You could kind of tell there wasn't that dialogue in the background, that inner critic kind of stepping in as like the interference, the medium in between. I must have been about 11 or 12 years old when I can recall having that kind of inner critic voice. It'd be curious to do this again with Sati in a couple of years and see that shift if it comes at all. But also because you're doing this, they're lucky to have you because, perhaps it will help her to, as she gets older, to not have so many difficulties seeing the goodness in herself.
Oh.
Maybe you can share. I'm curious to know, what is your practice around affirmations personally?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I could never really get into the formalized affirmation. So mine are much more informal. But I think what's more powerful for me is asking myself a question. If my best friend or somebody that I love was feeling exactly how I'm feeling right now, what would I say to them? And I find that makes it much more organic and doable than trying to like say some kind of a formula. How does this practice show up for you?
I used to think, okay, identify what it is that you are having a problem with about yourself, and then just come up with the opposite statement. So, for example, I used to feel insecure about being smart enough. Like I always felt like I needed to work harder at school than other people did to get the same grades. And I read slowly, and so there was a part of me that thought, "Oh, I'm not smart enough." And it was actually a misunderstanding that I had about myself as a child. I thought I got held back in school one year because I wasn't smart enough, but I learned as an adult that that actually wasn't the reason why at all. It was because I missed too many days of school. But I held this belief for a long time, thinking I wasn't smart enough and I had to work harder. So I remember coming up with an affirmation like, I'm intelligent. But there was a part of me that just really didn't believe it subconsciously. And I didn't feel like it was working to go from I'm not smart enough to I'm intelligent. It was too big of a drift for me. So I started like halfway. I took kind of a baby step. Maybe I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I can make a difference and I work really hard and, something like that. So I would just say something that my subconscious mind could go, oh, well, okay. Yeah, maybe that's true. So it could get on board, so like the deep part of me could be on board with that and go. And then when that became the new belief, okay, maybe I'm not the smartest person out there, but I make a big difference. And when I work hard, I can get the same result. And so I started to believe that, and it would kind of take place of the I'm not smart enough. And over time that I would work from there. That's kind of been what my approach to affirmations has been. And I also love the affirmation, everything is working out for me. Even though when things don't seem like they're working out, You know, at the end of the day, I can't see I can't see the outcome of this yet, but I know that everything is working out for me.
Mm,
And maybe it's for my own growth,
I love that. Yeah.
you know?
This is all working into my favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think those like concrete affirmations, like everything is working out for me, I am enough. I think that those are really important. And then the ones that are kind of like tailor made to your mental makeup, like this is what my mind can believe right now. I think that is also, to me, that's genius. Like, okay, I'm going to go to what my mind can accept, to stretch. It'll stretch this far and be like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's still a stretch.
I can accept that.
But it's in the right direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
And do you say your affirmations out loud or do you just think it internally?
No, I very rarely will say them out loud. But if it's been a really long day, but I still made it to the gym, I still made dinner for the kids, I still worked on my mental health, I still got in a good meditation. If I checked my boxes, I might say out loud, you did it. I might like give myself a high five or say like, I'm proud of you. So sometimes I will talk to myself out loud in a positive way, but much of my affirmation, positive self-talk process is silent. Yeah. What about you?
I will say mine out loud, usually in conversation with people. Like I am having conversation with you, saying like, I'm not the most intelligent person out there, but I make a big difference when I work hard. Like that's kind of, I will find my affirmation and then I'll find a way to like say that in conversations with people or everything's working out for me. And I'll say that out loud. Usually when I'm conversing with others, but I have found some really powerful help with saying them out loud. I was once a part of a retreat that I put on a few years ago, and we were doing affirmations as a group. And everyone came up with their affirmation. I'm just going to use an example. I am enough because it's short and sweet.
Yep.
And so we did this exercise where we, one by one, stood up in front of our group that we had become quite close with over the week. And we used voice inflection as a way to really own that statement. So we would emphasize each word, the first word of the sentence first. And then the next time we say the sentence, we'd emphasize the second word. And then the next time we say the sentence, we emphasize the third word and so on. So it would be like standing up and using a powerful stance and then saying really loudly, I am enough. And then a next sentence, I am enough. And then a third time, I am enough.
Wow.
And each one has a slightly different, I don't know if you would say vibration or feeling or impact on you mentally and physically and emotionally when you say it.
I love that. Again, it's a goosebumps moment for me because that is my favorite affirmation and my favorite message. And so to think of the depth of meaning based on the emphasis of each word is really powerful. Yeah. So
well, maybe give it a shot.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, y'all, please do try that. Or you can also try the exercise that we did in the beginning where you would get somebody and have them say something nice about you and then something nice about themselves. And then you do it. Say something nice about them and then say something nice about yourself.
And you can even turn it into an affirmation that you can repeat or create an affirmation that you can repeat to yourself on your own time. Like, I'm good at karate or even if it's not something that you already personally believe about yourself right now, but something that you want to believe, such as, I am intelligent, I am enough, I am lovable, create that affirmation for yourself and continue to repeat it until you believe it.
Absolutely. And if you got a young person in your life, please check out my book, Love Your Amazing Self, for a daily dose of self-kindness. And we've got a link to it in the show description.
I got mine. Hey, and if you aren't watching this podcast yet, please go check us out on YouTube. Our channel is called Balance, and we've got a link to today's episode in the show notes. Or if you're on Spotify, you'll see our video when you're playing the episode in the app.
And please rate and review our show wherever you're watching or listening. We absolutely love hearing from you, and it also helps us to spread the word.
And we'll be back again next week. But until then, have a beautiful, happy, fulfilling week.
And don't forget to love your amazing self. Take care. Peace.